Okay. Good morning, everyone. कैसे हैं मैं future chartered accountants? Today, the result of CA final was declared in the morning, and बहुत से बच्चे CA बन गए. और now one day will come, then all of you will be the chartered accountant, and I will definitely wait for the day. Good morning, Paras. Your problem, beta, you have to contact the ICI helpline. Good morning, Kushagra. Good morning, Gunjan. Saurabh. Good morning, Gul Sayyad. Rafika. Shalini, Sudhanshu, Arthur Kindu, Saurabh. Saurabh, your problem will be discussed in the revision part today. Gunjan, your problem, listen please. Gunjan is saying, excuse me, Jigar ji, आप please mute कीजिए. Gunjan is saying, sir, in example number 19, please listen carefully. Mr. A paid amount in advance for sugar to me, to Mr. B before fire, but after destroy, Mr. A asked for repayment of money, but Mr. B unable to pay back because he become insolvent. Mr. A suit against Mr. B. In this case, what will be the law of court says? Bete, Mr. A has given the advance money to B for supply of sugar, but due to fire, sugar was destroyed and Mr. B become the insolvent. Now the amount given by Mr. A is just a loan amount or advance amount to Mr. B, and at that time this is the liability on the B, and court will dispose the liability of B if B declared insolvent. So court will decide how much amount to be repaid to Mr. A, right? Good morning, Sanjay, Gunshita, Sunny, Yamnishi, Harnoor Kaur. Good morning, beta. Mansi, Priyanka, Arshdeep, Chitrank, Adya, Siddhi, Anirudh, Sarvash, Pranav, Divit, Surya, Ishan, Saurabh. I will take your problem in the revision part, definitely. Durgesh, Harshita, Sankalp, Lavleen, good morning, beta. Vishal, Ashwini, Navneet, Lakshmi, Ruchita, Kalyani, Saeed Bapre. Everyone is good morning, good morning, good morning. Right? Kushagra is saying, I have full confidence one day we will become a chartered accountant. I am very much sure. So, मुझे भी पूरा यकीन है, all of you will be chartered accountant one day. I am very much fine. Atharv. In case of bank loan, what is the consideration for bank? The amount of interest, what the bank is getting. Good morning, everyone. Now the time for revision. Sorry, good morning once again. Let's start the revision. Offer. A person is said to make a proposal when he signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing anything with the view to obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstinence. Two things are important in this definition. One, the offer can be for something doing or something not doing, right? Second thing is, offer must be made with the intention that the offeree must give his consent. जिसको ऑफर किया जा रहा है वो इस पे हाँ कर. Types of offer: general offer, specific general offer, world at large, specific offer to particular person, cross offer when two parties make identical offer at the same point of time, Counter offer means conditional acceptance. Standing or continuing offer means general offer for certain period of time. Legal rules: the offer must be with intention to create legal relationship. It means it must not be a social one. Offer must be certain, definite, and unambiguous. Unambiguous means clear. Should be very much clear. Must be communicated to person means must be communicated to the offeree, and communication means to make someone understand. Must be made with a view to obtain the consent of the offeree, which is absolutely given in the definition itself. Offer may be conditional, but acceptance never be conditional. We have discussed. Must not contain a term the non-compliance of which amounts acceptance. Offer may be specific or general. Offer may be express or implied. And offer must be different from invitation to offer. And statement of price, not an offer. All the menu cards, price tag, these are the invitations to offer, right? Acceptance: a proposal or offer is said to have been accepted when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent to the proposal to do or not to do something. It means giving his consent. The offeree must give the consent on the offer. Legal rules: it must be absolute and unqualified. It must be communicated to the person who has made the offer. It must be in the prescribed mode. It must be within the time limit. Mere silence is never an acceptance. Acceptance may be expressed or implied. Communication of offer is completed when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made, that is offeree. And communication of acceptance is complete against the proposal when it is put in the course of transmission to him, so as to be put out of the power of the acceptor to withdraw the same, that is the date of 7, as against the acceptor when it comes to the knowledge of proposal, that is date 10. Remember, communication of acceptance by post completed against the proposal, they are same rules when the letter of acceptance is posted, and as against the acceptor when the letter reaches to the offerer. Acceptance over telephone or telex or fax completed when the acceptance is received by the offeree and the contract is made at the place where the acceptance is, right? Communication of special conditions. Special conditions printed on the back of the ticket, receipt, etc., whether in the knowledge of passenger or not, will be treated as accepted by passenger. Exceptions: in the following cases, the rule of special condition will not be applicable where conditions are contained in the document which is delivered after the completion of contract. Condition limiting the right of acceptor are not informed to the acceptor, and documents does not give any reasonable notice on the face of it that it contains certain special conditions, right? Revocation of offer and acceptance by communication of notice, by lapse of time, time limit is mentioned. Non-fulfillment of condition which are part of the offer. Death or insanity of the offerer, provided the offeree comes to know of it before the acceptance. Counter offer is made, then original offer is automatically revoked. If an offer is not accepted according to the prescribed mode, or if law is changed. One problem from your side about the communication of acceptance by omission. See, if I inform Mr. A, if you will not file the suit against me for the claim of loan, I will give you 10,000 more on the amount of interest. In this case, Mr. A does not file the suit. It means he has accepted my offer by omission, right? So please write this table on your notebook so that we can start the test. सौरभ वर्मा saying सर हम भी सीए बनेंगे, आप अपना आशीर्वाद देना. Definitely my blessings is always with you यार. My cousin brother becomes CA today. In case of bank loan, what is the consideration of a bank? I've discussed Athar, the amount of interest which the bank is getting is the consideration for bank. Good morning, good morning. भैया गुड मॉर्निंग इतनी है, कई और मैसेज निकल रहे हैं प्लीज. प्रथम is self assignment test is there today. Definitely we are going to start beta. राम राम धारवी जी. मानवी खन्ना saying against the promisor promisee के meaning communication revocation. I have discussed beta. मतलब against the proposer communication of offer या communication of acceptance against the proposer means on this date, after this date, offer cannot withdraw his offer, and against the acceptor means after this time, this point of time, acceptor cannot withdraw his acceptance, but before that time he can withdraw his acceptance. Consideration we will discuss beta. चलिए आते हैं, स्टार्ट करते हैं. First question before you. Which of the following is not the legal requirement of a valid offer? Which is not? It must be communicated to the offeree. It must be made with a view to obtain offeree's assent. It must express offer's final willingness. It must be made to a specific and not to public at large, which is not the legal, not. The answer is D, because D point says it must be made to specific, not to public, but offer can be specific or general, right? So D is the right answer. Next, a journal offer of a continuing nature can be accepted by, journal offer of continuing nature can be accepted by the first 100 people, first 10 people, any number of person until it is retracted, and one person only who first accept the offer. The answer is the journal offer can be accepted by one person who first accept the offer. Right? Next question. The term acceptance in legal terms is defined in Section 2, Clause A, Section 2, Clause B, Section 2, Clause I, Section 2, Clause F. I think this is a very simple question. The answer is B, Section 2, Clause B. Next question. Which of the following is not the legal requirement of a valid acceptance? Valid acceptance. It must be communicated. It must be absolute and unconditional. It must be accepted by a person who has the authority to accept. It must be presumed from silence if not communicated within the specified time. Don't send me the answers. This is self-assessment test. The answer is D. The acceptance cannot be presumed from silence if not communicated within specified time. A by letter dated 25th December 2020 offers to sell his house to B for rupees 5 lakh, right? The letter reaches B on 27th December 2020, who posts his acceptance on 28th December, which reaches A on 30th December. In this case, communication of offer is completed on 25th, 27th, 28th, 30. Please read carefully. The answer is B on 27th when it comes to the knowledge of offering. Next question. An offer may be revoked by the offerer at any time before the letter of acceptance is posted by acceptor, received by offerer, read by offerer, none of these. The answer is A, when letter of acceptance is posted by the acceptor. Next. The legal rule relating to the revocation of acceptance is that it can be revoked at any time before the communication of acceptance is complete. Revocation of acceptance. Its acceptance is complete against the acceptor, against the offerer, acceptor's family, offerer family. Please. Acceptance कब तक रिवोक हो सकता है? The answer is A, when communication of acceptance is complete against the acceptor, that is 10th. It means before 10th, the acceptor can revoke his acceptance. Is one which is made to public at large, a specific offer, general offer, public offer, universal offer. You have to select the best one. The answer is general offer. I think very simple question, this one. Where the time is fixed for acceptance of the offer and it is not accepted within the fixed time, then automatically lapse. On the expiry of fixed time, offer can be accepted by paying penalty. Offeree loses his right to become a party to any contract in future. Offer lapses, but only with the permission of the court. The answer is, if time limit is mentioned, then offer automatically lapses on the expiry of that period. Last question. The person making the offer is known as offerer or promiser, and to whom it is made. Acceptor for owner, offeree or promisee, contracting party. It is not promise, it is promisee. Think printing error. The answer is C, offeree. So it was the test, self-assessment test. Hopefully all of you get a 10 out of 10. Now time is going. We are coming to the topic consideration. So we are on the slides. If time will allow, then I will take your rest of the problem. Okay. Come to the slide consideration. Unit 2 consideration, we have already discussed, have a brief idea in the essentials element. Now come to the full topic, full in details. Consideration, section 2, clause D. How will you remember? Clause number is D. But you remember that what after C is D. The C for consideration, and the section clause is section 2 clause D. So what section consideration means? Something in return. If I am giving something and what I was getting is the consideration for me. Section 2 clause D says, when at the desire of promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing something, such act or abstinence or promise is called consideration for the promise. Right? Lekin, please read the definition with me. I will miss some words. When at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done, then such act is called consideration for promise. Right? Let's see one example. Mr. A comes to me, sir, please teach us the law. Contract पढ़ा दीजिए. And I told him, I will charge the fees of rupees 10,000. Right? Now, I am the promiser because I am promising to teach Mr. A the law. Then what is the consideration for me? What is the consideration for me should be as per my desire. Let's see. In the contract, I have promised to teach Mr. A for rupees 10,000, but at the time of payment, Mr. A decided, sir, I can pay only 8,000. Whether it is complete consideration, the answer is no. So the consideration should be according to the promiser. But one more thing, Mr. A is the promisee. I am the promiser and Mr. A is the promisee. But his father says, sir, on behalf of my son, I will pay rupees 10,000 to you. So whether it is good consideration for me if I accept it. The answer is yes, if I accept it. So the consideration must move at the desire of the promiser, that is me, but can be from the promisee or any other person, but with the condition of with the permission of promise. तो consideration किसके अकॉर्डिंग होना चाहिए? जो प्रॉमिस कर रहा है, जो मुझे मिलना है वो मेरे अकॉर्डिंग होना चाहिए. लेकिन मुझे वो कंसीडरेशन कौन दे सकता है? promisee या कोई और person उसके behalf पर, and if I accepted that consideration on behalf of any other on behalf of promisee by any other person, the consideration is complete. But in this definition, we are talking about the consideration for something doing or not doing. Consideration may be for doing or not doing. Let's see an example. Consideration may be an act for doing something. See, A guarantees B for payment of price of goods which B wanted to sell on 1 month credit to C. A guarantees B for payment of price of goods which B wanted to sell on 1 month credit to C. Here, selling of goods on credit by B to C is consideration for A's promise. A has guaranteed B that please sell the goods to C. A guarantees B, please sell the goods to B to C. If C will not pay the amount, I will pay. एक गारंटी दे रहा है बी को कि भैया आप सी को माल बेच दो, अगर सी पेमेंट नहीं करेगा तो मैं पेमेंट करूंगा उसकी जगह. नाउ व्हाट इज द कंसिडरेशन फॉर ए? द एक्ट ऑफ सेलिंग ऑफ गुड्स बाय बी टू सी इज द कंसिडरेशन फॉर ए. इस केस में ए के लिए कंसिडरेशन क्या है? बी के द्वारा सी को माल बेचना इज कंसिडरेशन फॉर ए. Here the selling of goods on credit by B to C is the consideration for A's promise. One more example. A college promises students. Promises. Announce nahi hai. There is no announcement. It is promises. Student for the job in MNC. All whom will secure above 95%. Here the promise for recruitment of candidates will be considered as consideration for the act of students scoring above 90%. In the last day we have discussed, this is that announcement. This is not the announcement, this is the promise. Okay. One more, consideration may be abstinence or forbearance. Forbearance means nothing to do, something not to do. Let's see an example. C promises his debtor D. C promises his debtor D not to file a suit against him. Not to file a suit against him if he agrees to pay 10,000 more on the principal amount. Here, the abstinence of C is the consideration for D's promise to pay. Now, what is the example? C promise करता है डी को कि भैया अगर तुम 10,000 रुपए मुझे ऊपर से दोगे, जितना लोन लेना पैसा लिया है आपने मुझसे, उसके ऊपर से 10,000 रुपए दोगे तो मैं आपके अगेंस्ट केस फाइल नहीं करूंगा. तो व्हाट इज द कंसिडरेशन फॉर डी? सी के द्वारा सूट फाइल ना करना, नथिंग, दिस इज कॉल्ड एब्स्टिनेंस. नहीं फाइल करना इज द कंसिडरेशन फॉर डी. राइट. वन मोर point, consideration may be a written promise. Written promise. A promise to maintain B's child and B promised to pay A rupees 1,000 yearly for the purpose. A promise to pay to maintain B's child and B promises to pay A rupees 1,000 yearly for the promise. Here the promise of each party is the consideration for the promise of other. What is the A's promise? He will maintain B's child. What is the B's promise? He will give the 1,000 rupees. This is called the return promise. एक promise के बदले में दूसरा. Right? Now come to the legal rules of consideration. Okay. First legal rule is the part of the definition which was specifically given in the definition. Consideration must move at the desire of promiser. An act done at the desire of third party is never a consideration. Consideration हमेशा उस आदमी के अकॉर्डिंग होना चाहिए जिसके साथ आपने प्रॉमिस किया है. अगर आप किसी और के अकॉर्डिंग कंसिडरेशन डिसाइड करेंगे तो वो कंसिडरेशन नहीं माना जाएगा. सीधा एग्जाम्पल, are saved as goods from the fire without being asked to do so. What is the point? There was fire in S godown, right? R saved the good, but without being asked by the S. Now, whether R can claim the compensation or reward for the service, the answer is no. Because never said by S. S ने कभी नहीं कहा कि मेरा माल बचाओ. So R saves as good from fire without being asked to do so. R cannot demand any reward for his service as the act being done voluntarily. If R was given information by S, please save my goods, and R saves the good from S go down, in that case R can claim. R ने गुड्स बचाया S का, लेकिन S ने तो कभी नहीं कहा था, तो लॉ के अकॉर्डिंग R क्लेम नहीं कर सकता कुछ भी रिवॉर्ड. अगर S ने बोला होता R को, भैया मेरा माल बचाओ आग लग गई है, in that case R can claim the right. Consideration from promisee or any other person. Consideration can be received from promisee or any other person. Consideration may proceed from the promisee or any other person who is not a party to contract. Actually, a case tha, that was a case. I'm just taking the brief. There was an old lady. Let's see, O, and she has transferred all her property to her niece. Let's say N, with the condition that N will pay some amount monthly to the friend of O. What is the case? O has transferred her property to N with the condition that N will pay some amount per month to the friend of O, let's say F. The agreement was complete, but after the property transfer to N, N has denied to give the money to the friend of O with the views that law says there must be consideration. If I am giving something to the friend of O, what I will get in return? As I am not getting anything in return, I am not getting consideration, so the agreement was void and the friend cannot claim the amount from me. O की एक उन्होंने अपनी सारी प्रॉपर्टी अपनी भतीजी N को ट्रांसफर कर दी इस कंडीशन के साथ कि N हर महीने कुछ अमाउंट अपनी O की फ्रेंड को दिया करेगी. प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर होने के बाद N ने वो पेमेंट देने से मना कर दी इस बात के साथ कि लॉ कहता है कि हर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कंसीडरेशन होना चाहिए. कंसीडरेशन नहीं होगा तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड हो जाएगा. मैं अगर N को पेमेंट कर रही हूं मंथली तो बदले में मुझे क्या मिल रहा है? क्योंकि मुझे कोई भी कंसीडरेशन नहीं मिल रहा है तो ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड है और फ्रेंड मुझसे कुछ भी क्लेम नहीं कर सकता. But when the case was come to the court, then court what has decided? See, the case of Chinaya versus Ramaya. An old lady made a gift of her property to her daughter with the direction to pay a certain sum of money to the maternal uncle by way of annuity, annual amount. On the same day, the daughter executed a writing in favor of the brother of old lady agreeing to pay the annuity. The daughter did not pay the annuity and the uncle sued to recover it. Now, court had decided the consideration was given by lady to the daughter is the sufficient consideration. That is the indirect consideration for the uncle to recover the money from the daughter, and hence uncle has right to recover the amount from the daughter. कोर्ट ने कहा भले ही आपको कंसिडरेशन डायरेक्ट नहीं मिल रहा है, लेकिन आपको अपनी मां से तो मिला कंसिडरेशन, वो कंसिडरेशन सफिशिएंट है आपके ऊपर लायबिलिटी लगाने का कि आप अंकल को पेमेंट करें. So consideration may proceed from the promisee or any other person who is not a party to the contract. In other words, there can be a stranger to consideration but never be a for contract. Third party cannot claim for contract, but if third party is mentioned in the contract for consideration, third party is not part of the contract. The contract was actually entered between lady and the daughter. Uncle was not the part of the contract, but mentioned for consideration, and hence the term is there. There can be a stranger to consideration, but not for contract. The stranger cannot be for contract. So remember one line: the consideration must move at the desire of promiser, but can be from the promisee or any other person. Indirect consideration is also the valid. Right? Third point, consideration may be executed, that is present, or executory, that is future. See, the example is very easy topic. A pays rupees 5,000 to B, and B promised to deliver to him a certain quantity of wheat within a month. A has made the payment and B will pay after the month. So consideration paid by A to B, it means consideration for B is present, but consideration for A is future. In this case, A pays the amount, whereas B makes the promise. The consideration paid by A to B is present, and the consideration is promised by B is executory, future for A. A ने 5,000 रुपए दिए B को, और B ने कहा मैं 1 महीने बाद आपको गेहूं दे दूंगा. राइट? A ने तो पेमेंट कर दिया, दैट इज एग्जीक्यूटेड, और B देगा, केवल प्रॉमिस किया है, दैट इज फ्यूचर, दैट इज एग्जीक्यूटेड. राइट? Past consideration, it is important. Past consideration. Let's see an example. Anushka has come to me, sir, I want to teach, please, I want to study the law, please teach me the law, but I don't have the money to pay your fees. Right? Anushka has come to me, sir, please teach me the law, but I don't have the money to pay your fees. And that was the incident, is let's say in August 2022. I said, okay, you need not to pay the fees. You can come in the class and get the study of law. Anushka, I have taught the Anushka, and when the result comes, let's say in January 2023, Anushka got passed and very good marks in law. Now she has decided to pay my fees. So in January, she came to me, sir, you have taught me in the month of August, September. Now I am promising to pay your fees of rupees 5,000 or 10,000, whatever. The contract was entered by Anushka in January 2023 to pay the fees of 10,000. The consideration for on her part is future. She will pay. But what she will get? She have already get the teaching of law. So consideration for Anushka is the past consideration. It means if the consideration received before the date of contract, it is called past consideration. Example 8, A teaches B at his desire. After a week, B promised to pay fees of rupees 2000. Now A can sue B for recovering the promised money. Now I can file the suit against the Anushka for the payment of fees. But if Anushka say, sir, what I am getting about against the payment of fees, I am not getting any consideration. Law will say you have already received your consideration in the past. So that is called past consideration. Agreed? Law says there must be a consideration. Law says there must be a consideration, but never says the consideration must be equal to the value, must be adequate. Law ये तो कहता है कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कंसिडरेशन होना चाहिए, पर ये कभी नहीं कहता कि कंसिडरेशन इक्वल वैल्यू का होना चाहिए. सी, A agrees voluntarily to sell his motorcycle for rupees 2000. A agrees voluntarily to sell his motorcycle for rupees 2000 to B. It is valid contract despite the inadequacy of consideration. A ने कहा मैं अपनी बाइक 2000 रुपए में बेच दूंगा, पर ये सब कुछ सही है. That there is no concept of and there is a free consent. In that case, the contract is valid. X promised to sell a house worth rupees 6 lakh for rupees 1 lakh only. The adequacy of pricing itself shall not render the transaction void unless the party pleads, party gives the idea that transaction was because of coercion. The party says the consent was not free. Until that, contract is perfectly. We have discussed this point in the case of voidable contract, right? So there must be a consideration, but need not be adequate. Next point. Performance of what one is legally bound to perform. What is the meaning? See, consideration must not be the performance of existing duty. If you are charging something extra for existing duty, there will not be considered any consideration. The performance of an act by person who is legally bound to perform, the same cannot be consideration for contract. See the example. A promise to pay 1000 to a doctor over the fees is invalid, as it is the duty of the doctor to give the treatment for normal fees. If something extra effort is required of doctor, then he can charge extra fees. But no extra efforts are required on the part of doctor. The doctor will charge only normal fees. Even the contract for additional fees cannot be claimed by the doctor. Right? The doctor की fees है, वही claim कर सकता है. Well, what is the point says? Claim anything additional consideration. Right? Consideration must be real and competent, something actual, something fact. It must see. A man promises to discover treasure by magic. Treasure by magic, this transaction can be said void as it is illusory. Something should be fact, something should be practical. This example we have already discussed. A agrees with B to put the life in his dead wife. The agreement cannot be enforced as it is not possible to perform. Right? It's easy, we have all discussed better. Consideration must not be unlawful, immoral, or opposed to public policy. Immoral means bad character, unlawful means against the law, and opposed to public policy means against the public, against the welfare of public. See example number 14. A asks B if I will give you rupees 1 lakh if you kill C. The consideration is illegal, unlawful. A asks B, I will give you a bottle of wine if you do work for me. The contract is invalid as it is considered is immoral. A asks B, I will purchase your car for something that is not certain. There is no contract as consideration is uncertain. So, come for this is time for super over one. One question from your side that sir you did not give the list of sections for this unit. I think in this unit only 2 sections are sufficient. Section 2 clause B, which I have already discussed, and section 25 we will discuss in the next hour. So someone is saying so how to remember the sections. Just the practice when you read, when you revise the law, use sections also in your discussion with your friends. When you get revision, you must use sections and it will be easily learned to you. हिंदी में आई एम जस्ट रिपीटिंग इन हिंदी. बच्चों हिंदी में रिपीट कर रहा हूँ और इंग्लिश में मैं बहुत इजी यूज कर रहा हूँ. आई थिंक इट विल बी it will be understandable to understanding for everyone. Is consideration can be conditional? No, normally in case no. In example number 8, after teaching her, can teacher demand the money? If there was no confirmation of consideration in the contract, actually in the August the contract, the main condition of the contract that Anushka could not pay the fees. So even after teaching, I could not demand the fees from Anushka. But if Anushka has made the promise in the January to make the payment of fees, then I can file the suit against her. If Anushka, Harnoor is asking, sir, if Anushka is unable to pay the fees, now can we suit her? Definitely. But after the contract of payment of fees in the January, otherwise not. What is the immoral? Immoral means beta bad character, like offering wine is bad character contract. Anushka, your comments are visible. I am just taking, मतलब मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि maximum problem एक बार में आ जाए, क्योंकि the number of queries from your side, मतलब same queries are repeating. So I am just trying कि सारी queries आपकी complete हो जाए. So let's start the super over. First question. Consideration must move at the desire of promiser, promisee, promiser or any third party, both the promiser and the promisee. One thing I would like to share at this point, there's some problem with the students of Hindi medium. You just do one thing. What I have done, I am also from the Hindi medium, and up to 12th, the schooling was in Hindi medium. But after the when I joined CA Foundation from in English medium, I'm just on English. So one thing I have done in the CA Foundation, I have purchased a dictionary And if I got any technical word, any difficult word, I just watch the dictionary, get the meaning, and write the meaning on the top of the word in the book. एक बार, दो बार, तीन बार के बाद वो वर्ड्स मेरे को यूज टू हो गया. तो प्लीज यू कैन डू दैट थिंग. दिस इज नॉट कोई छोटा काम नहीं है. ये आपको अपनी लेवल बढ़ाने के लिए है, नॉलेज बढ़ाने के लिए. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Consideration must move from the promisee, may move from the promisee or any other person, must move from the third party, may move from the promiser. Next. Consideration in a contract. Consideration may be past, present, or future, may be present or future only, must be present only, must be future only. Next question. Which of the following are valid consideration? Past, future, present, या past, present or future? 3 point. Where an act forming consideration is the performance of existing obligation between the parties, it is regarded that there is no consideration, inadequate consideration, past consideration, none of these. Last question. An agreement made with the free consent to which the lawful consideration is inadequate is void, valid, voidable, unlawful. Send the answer in one shot only. एक साथ भेजने सारे क्वेश्चन, सारे आंसर. Harshita is saying, sir, in election, the parties are give some alcohol to citizens for their benefit. What is it? It is illegal in IPC. ऐसी बात तो करना भी नहीं बेटा. Kirti, sir, a seller cannot charge extra money than the MRP. Does it come under the performance of what one is legally bound to perform? I think for this point, the separate law is minimum price. For example, जो मेरा practice process है, उनके अलग law है बेटा ये. International CA क्या है? I don't know बेटा what is international CA. Presumed का meaning आप you can find the in dictionary. Author saying if a person wants to give his property free to his friend without any money with free consent, in this case consideration is not both sides. So this is valid. I think this will be discussed in the next topic. In consideration, the promiser is only one, but promisee could be more than one. No, even the promiser may be joint. Adequate means equal to the value which I am getting. In exam, if exam come case law, then how to write? I will discuss what is the pattern of the exam and how to present. Don't worry. Varda Fatima is saying, sir, if in the example, if Anushka does not pass the exam, then she will pay or not. Actually, the fees was given for teaching, not the guarantee of passing. Okay, so please. Vaishnavi is saying, sir, please explain the old lady example. I have discussed there was an old lady who transferred the property to her daughter with the promise that daughter will pay the some monthly annual amount to the uncle. But daughter denied to pay. In this case, uncle has filed the suit and court gives the decision in the favor of uncle with the condition even that even the daughter is not getting consideration from uncle but got the consideration from her mother. Shreya is saying, sir, I have appeared in June 2022. There was some question in math examination for which no correct option was given. Will you please let me know how ICI will consider them? No idea, but I don't have idea. Avinash is saying, sir, if in the check a future date is given, that it is future consideration, definitely. मेरे बच्चों, please don't send the answer one by one. You have to send all the answer in one shot. So let's discuss the answers. First point. Consideration must move at the desire of promisor. Next. Consideration must move from the promisee, may move from the promisee or any other person. Next. Consideration in a contract may be past, present, or future. May be present or future only. The answer is it may be past, present, or future. Which of the following are valid consideration? The answer is D. Present or future consideration. Past, present, or future. Second last one. Where an act forming consideration is the performance of existing obligation between the parties, it is regarded that there is existing obligation, no consideration. Next, last one. An agreement made with free consent to which the lawful consideration is inadequate is perfectly valid. So let's see the answers. The first one who has given all the correct answers is Miss Gunshita Kesharwani. Congratulations, beta. Next one is Mangapuram Rushikesh. Congratulations, beta. Next one is Sahajpreet Kaur. Congratulations. Next, Rohit Dantalwar. Next, is Gunjan Devi. So I should congratulate all of you who have given all the correct answer. So here we have a break of 5 minutes and resume after 5 minutes. Jigar ji, please 5 minutes का break दे दीजिए बच्चों को. Okay. Okay, welcome back बच्चों. Raghav Shah. Beta, I think you can read the case from your study module is given in the study module. The case of Durga Prasad versus Baldev. It's a very easy topic. So come to the next topic. Suit by a third party to a contract. The question arises whether a third party can file the suit against the in the contract. The party who is not part of the contract, who is not at the time of making the contract, whether he or she can file the suit against that contract. The law says a stranger to a contract cannot sue is known as doctrine of privity of contract. Friends, there may be a question in your exam in this language. A stranger to a contract cannot sue. Please explain. So you just write this basic thing that a stranger to a contract cannot sue. But there are some exceptions for that point. So we will discuss those exceptions, and it means the cases where a third person or a stranger can file the suit in the contract. But normal case, a stranger to a contract cannot sue, cannot file the suit. This principle is called doctrine. Doctrine means principle of the privity of contract. See the example number 17. It's a very easy example, and I think you will clear what the concept. P has taken a loan from Q. P has taken a loan from Q, and P sells his property to R, and R promises P that R will pay the loan amount of P to Q. The contract of loan was between P and Q. Then P has sold the property to R, and R made the promise that he will pay off the loan of P and he will pay the amount to Q. In this case, if R does not pay the amount of loan to Q, whether Q can file the suit against R? The answer is no. The original contract was between P and Q. So Q can claim the amount from P. केस क्या था? P ने एक लोन लिया Q से, राइट? अब P ने एक प्रॉपर्टी R को बेची. R ने कहा भैया मैं प्रॉमिस करता हूं तुम्हारा जो लोन है Q से उसका मैं पे ऑफ करता हूं. अब इस केस में अगर R ने लोन पे नहीं किया तो Q पेमेंट किससे मांगेगा? Q पेमेंट मांगेगा केवल P से, R से नहीं मांगेगा, क्योंकि R क्या है? जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ P और Q के बीच में, उसके लिए R क्या है? स्ट्रेंजर. R is the stranger for a contract which was done between P and Q, right? Exception to the rule, doctrine of privity of contract. Exception to the rule, doctrine of privity of contract means these are the exceptions. These are the exceptions where the stranger to a contract can file the suit. So please, this is the important question for your exam. Please understand understand and please make it क्या कहते हैं उसको हम कि इसको इतना strong करो इस part को कि अगर कुछ भी question आ जाए you can solve. So even a stranger to a contract may enforce a claim in the following cases. First is in case of trust. Now what is the trust? Normally people say trust means believe. No, here the trust means, let's see an example. If a father transfer all his property to his friend, and making the trust that father is giving the property in the trust and the friend is the caretaker, and the purpose of the father to transfer his property in the trust, the benefit of the property will be given to the son. क्या था, एक फादर ने प्रॉपर ट्रस्ट बनाई जिसमें सारी प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर कर दी, एंड ट्रस्ट, हु इज द ट्रस्टी, हु इज द केयरटेकर, इज फ्रेंड. फादर ने अपने फ्रेंड को केयरटेकर बनाया कि इस प्रॉपर्टी का इस्तेमाल मेरे बेटे के लिए किया जाएगा. इन दिस सिचुएशन द फ्रेंड इज ट्रस्टी and the son is beneficiary, because the trust was created for the benefit of son. Now son will be called beneficiary. So in this case of trust, a beneficiary can enforce his right under the trust, though he was not a party to contract between the settler and the trustee. The original contract was entered between father and the friend, and father said to the friend that the benefit of all the property, let's say rent, will be given to the son. The contract originally entered between father and the friend, but if the friend does not transfer the rent amount to son, son can claim because he is beneficiary. So this is the specific exception. क्या specific exception है कि जो ट्रस्ट के केस में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ वो किसके बीच में हुआ, सेटलर और ट्रस्टी के बीच में, यानी कि फादर और फ्रेंड के बीच में, कि फ्रेंड जो प्रॉपर्टी है फादर ने दी है ट्रस्ट में, उसमें जो रेंट आएगा वो बेटे को देगा. यानी कि ट्रस्ट किसके बेनिफिट के लिए बनी, वो बनी बेटे के बेनिफिट के लिए. तो बेटा क्या कहलाएगा, बेनिफिशियरी. अगर फ्रेंड वो पेमेंट नहीं करता है, रेंट का पेमेंट बेटे को नहीं करता है, तो बेटा भले ही कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का पार्ट नहीं था, फिर भी वो सूट फाइल कर सकता है, वो रेंट को क्लेम कर सकता है. सी, Mr. X transfer his property to his son, his friend, in trust in favor of his son. On the death of Mr. X, friend refuses to give the benefit to son. Now son can claim from Mr. X, claim from friend. Please correction कर लीजिए, please make the correction. Now son can claim from friend even if he was not a party to contract. X ने अपनी सारी प्रॉपर्टी अपने फ्रेंड को ट्रांसफर कर दी ट्रस्ट बना के, और किसके फेवर के लिए, किसके बेनिफिट के लिए, बेटे के बेनिफिट के लिए. अब मिस्टर एक्स की डेथ हो जाती है और जो फ्रेंड है वो पेमेंट नहीं करता है बेनिफिट का सन को, तो सन, यहाँ पर करेक्शन है, सन क्लेम कर सकता है किससे, फ्रेंड से, फादर के फ्रेंड से, इवन सन ओरिजिनली कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का पार्ट नहीं था. राइट, तो ये करेक्शन कर लो बच्चों, मिस्टर एक्स नहीं है, यहाँ पर फ्रेंड आएगा. नेक्स्ट, इन केस ऑफ फैमिली सेटलमेंट, if the terms of the settlement are in writing, the members of the family, अंडरलाइन कीजिए बच्चों इसमें, in writing, the members of the family who originally had not been parties to the settlement may enforce the agreement. Please first you see the example. What is the example बच्चों? A father has transferred all his property to his two sons on the condition that each of them will pay 10,000 to their mother. Son refuses to pay. Now mother can claim from them. फादर ने अपनी सारी प्रॉपर्टी दो बच्चों में बांट दी और दोनों बेटों को यह कहा कि आप अपनी मदर को 10,000 हजार रुपए महीना देंगे. अगर जो बेटे पेमेंट करने से मना करते हैं तो मदर, इवन वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का पार्ट नहीं है, फिर भी क्लेम कर सकती है. In the contract, a father transferred the property to the two sons with the condition that son will give 10,000 to mother. The mother even not the part of the contract, but can claim the consideration of 10,000 from both the sons. Right? So first is trust, second is family settlement. Third one. In case of certain marriage contracts, a female member can enforce a provision for marriage expenses made on the partition of HUF. This is specific exception only for a Hindu undivided family, that in case of there is division of Hindu undivided family, in that case the female person can claim the expenses from his father-in-law. In case of assignment of contract, please underline assignment. Assignment means transfer. Assignment means transfer. When the benefit under a contract has been assigned, the assignee can enforce the contract. What is the meaning? What is the example? Let's see one example. Suppose Mr. X has taken an insurance policy, and in the policy he has made nominate the name of his son. Mr. A ने एक पॉलिसी ली इंश्योरेंस की, उसमें अपने सन का नाम नॉमिनेशन में डाला. And what is the meaning? That in case of death, all the claim amount will be transferred to the son. कि जब X की डेथ हो जाएगी तो सारे जो बेनिफिट्स हैं इसको ट्रांसफर हो जाएंगे बेटे को. So this is called assignment of contract. See, Mr. A has assigned his insurance policy to his son. Now son can claim even if he was not a party to the contract, because at the time of making the contract was entered between father, Mr. A, and the insurance company. But if the Mr. A has assigned, transferred the through nomination or some other way, his policy to his son, now son can claim the amount from the insurance company, right? So first is trust, second is family settlement, third is marriage contract, certain marriage contracts, four is assignment of contract. Remember, in case of an estoppel by acknowledgement of liability, acknowledgement means confirmation, estoppel means to stop. The meaning of this line is in simple language, if once you have accepted the liability, you cannot afterward deny. आपने एक बार लाइबिलिटी के लिए कंफर्मेशन कर दिया कि हाँ वी आर लाइबल टू पे समथिंग, आफ्टरवर्ड्स यू कैन नॉट डिनाई. In case of an estoppel by acknowledgement or liability or part performance thereof, that is when one admits the liability. See the example. L gives to Mr. M rupees 2,000 to be given to N. L has given 2,000 to M, which to be given to N, and M informs the N that he has holding money for him. It means M has accepted the liability, but afterwards M refuses to pay the money. Now N can claim the amount from the Mr. M, right? क्या केस था कि L ने कुछ 2,000 रुपए M को दिए, L ने 2,000 रुपए M को दिए और क्या कहा बच्चों, क्या कहा कि आप इसको N को दे देगा. M ने N को इन्फॉर्म किया कि भैया तुम्हारे 2,000 रुपए मेरे पास आ गए हैं, आप मुझसे क्लेम कर लें. बाद में M ने जब देने से मना कर दिया तो N को पूरा राइट है कि वो M से 2,000 रुपए क्लेम कर सकता है, even the original contract was entered between L and N. क्लियर? चाहे ओरिजिनल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट L और N के बीच में हुआ था, लेकिन M ने लाइबिलिटी एक्सेप्ट की थी अगेंस्ट N कि मैं आपको 2,000 रुपए दूंगा, मेरे पास आ गए. इन दैट केस N कैन क्लेम द अमाउंट फ्रॉम M. Contracts made by agent, in some time the contracts are entered by agent on behalf of principal. What is the agent? Agent is the person who works on behalf of some other person, and for whom he work is called principal, and the person who work on behalf of another person is called agent. In that case, if agent is working on behalf of principal, then all the acts of agent are binding on the principal. एजेंट वो पर्सन होता है जो किसी के बिहाफ पर काम करता है, किसी के कहने से काम करता है. जिसके कहने से काम करता है उसे हम प्रिंसिपल बोलते हैं, राइट. लेकिन इस केस में एजेंट जो भी काम करेगा ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ प्रिंसिपल, वो सारे प्रिंसिपल के ऊपर बाध्य होंगे, बाइंडिंग होंगे. A principal can enforce the contract entered by his agent where agent has acted within the scope authority and in the name of principal. So principal has equal right and liabilities on the work done by agent on his behalf. अगर एजेंट कोई काम कर रहा है प्रिंसिपल बिहाफ पर, तो प्रिंसिपल को उस काम के लिए पूरे राइट्स हैं और पूरे ही लायबिलिटी. सी, पी अपॉइंट ए एज एजेंट टू सेल द हाउस. पी ने ए को अपॉइंट किया अपने घर को बेचने के लिए एज एजेंट. ए सेल्स द हाउस टू टी, थर्ड पर्सन सपोज. नाउ पी हैज राइट टू रिकवर द प्राइस फ्रॉम टी. व्हाट इज द केस? लिसन. पी हैज अपॉइंटेड ए एज एजेंट to sell his house. A enters the contract to sell the house to T. Now, principal has the right to claim the amount from T, and T has the right to claim the house from P, even the contract was entered by A. P ने A को अपॉइंट किया अपना घर बेचने के लिए, A ने T से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया, घर बेच दिया. अब P को पूरा राइट है कि वो T से अपना पैसा क्लेम कर सकता है, और टी को पूरा राइट है कि वो पी से वो घर क्लेम कर सकता है, राइट. ओरिजिनल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किसी बीच में हुआ, एजेंट और थर्ड पर्सन के बीच में, बट प्रिंसिपल हैज द राइट एंड लायबिलिटीज इक्वली एज द एजेंट. ठीक है, बिकॉज एजेंट वाज वर्किंग ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ प्रिंसिपल. In the case of covenant running with the land, underline कीजिए covenant. Covenant means restrictions, liabilities. See, in the case of covenants running with the land, the person who purchases land with notice that owner of the land is bound by certain duties affecting land, the covenant affecting the land may be enforced by the successor of the seller. See the example, then we will come back to this point. Example number 23. One owner of the land having two land adjacent to each other. Adjacent means attached. One was agriculture land. He sold the other land containing a condition that it can never be used for industrial purpose so as to protect the other agricultural land from pollution. Such condition is attached with the land, so whosoever is the successor of the land has to abide by it. Such are called restrictive covenants, and all the successors are bound to it. See, let's say Rahul is the owner of two lands which are side by side. One land is agricultural land, and Rahul sold the other part of land to Mr. Navneet. Rahul sold the other part of land to Mr. Navneet with the condition that land will never be used for industrial purpose, so as to save the agricultural land of Rahul from pollution. Now, this is the restriction on the agreement, on the contract between Rahul and Navneet, and this restriction will ever be applicable, always be applicable, even the Navneet sold the land to suppose Mr. A and A to B, B to C, whatever. लेकिन restriction will always be there. राहुल के पास दो लैंड प्लॉट थे. राहुल ने एक पार्ट बेच दिया, दूसरा जो राहुल के पास था वो एग्रीकल्चर लैंड था. राहुल ने वो पार्ट जो लैंड था वो बेचा नवनीत को इस कंडीशन के साथ कि इस लैंड को कभी भी आप एज ए इंडस्ट्रियल पर्पस के लिए यूज नहीं करेंगे, कोई फैक्ट्री नहीं लगाएंगे, क्योंकि अगर फैक्ट्री लगाएंगे तो जो अदर पार्ट है राहुल के पास एग्रीकल्चर वाला, उसमें पॉल्यूशन होगा, वो लैंड खराब हो जाएगा, एग्रीकल्चर खराब हो जाएगा. नाउ दिस इज द रेस्ट्रिक्शन, दिस इज द कॉवेनेंट ऑन द लैंड, एंड दिस रेस्ट्रिक्शन, ये रेस्ट्रिक्शन जितने भी बाद में बायर आएंगे, सपोज नवनीत ने ए को बेचा, ए ने बी को बेचा, बी ने सी को बेचा, उन सब पे ये रेस्ट्रिक्शन एप्लीकेबल रहेगी, भले ही वो लोग ए बी सी डी ओरिजिनल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का पार्ट नहीं थे. तो दीज आर द एक्सेप्शन, राइट? So listen, so what we have discussed the exceptions. It means these are the 7 special cases. These are 7 special cases, nothing else. These are 7 special cases in which a third party can claim, can be the part of the contract, right? So please remember the list of these 7 cases. This is the important for your exam. Till I'm just taking your queries for 5 minutes. In case of Chinaya versus Ramaya, uncle was the beneficiary, you can say, and he can claim. He cannot file the suit against the lady. Covenant I have discussed. This is the restrictions. With respect to example number 23, what if the land was resold to original owner and then the law of limitation could be removed or not? He's saying, very good question from Mr. Amit Kumar. If Navni sold the land to again Mr. Rahul, whether the restriction will be applicable or not? I think this will be this matter will be will come to the court, and court will definitely give the right to Rahul. Rahul will decide because the restriction was made by the Rahul, and now Rahul is the owner of the land. He will decide whether to use as an industrial purpose or not. Right? Example 7th and 21. 17th. Okay. One person has made the query, what is the difference between 17 and 21? In 17th, there was no confirmation from the part of R to Q. If R made the confirmation to Q that I will pay your amount, in that case, 21 will be the same. Clear? In 21, there was confirmation from Mr. M. But in that case, there was no confirmation in 17 example. Now, come to the validity of agreement without consideration. Section 25. Normally, we have discussed that agreement without consideration is void. Normally, we have discussed the consideration with a contract without consideration void, section 25. But again, there are some exceptions. In these cases, any agreement made even without consideration is valid and enforceable. See, first point are natural love and affection. Please mark the important line on this point is written and registered. Any agreement written and registered made on account of natural love and affection between the parties standing in near relation to each other is enforceable even without consideration. Let's see, I have promised my sister on account of my natural love and affection to gift the house, to gift a house. If this promise and written and registered as per the law of that area, in this case, the sister can claim the house from me only if the contract, the agreement, statement is written and registered. Written but not registered, there is no value. Written but not registered, there is no value. Sister cannot claim. Registered and written must be there. Let's see, I have taken an example I will discuss in the 10th lecture. But let's see what is the happened. Mr. A promised her sister. Mr. A promised his sister B to give the house, and he made the written contract. But when he is going to get the registered in the law, in the court or in the whatever place where it is get registered, in the way there was accident and Mr. A was no more. Whether sister can claim on the basis of written deed. मैंने क्या कहा बच्चों? A ने अपनी बहन को प्रॉमिस किया कि मैं आपको अपना घर गिफ्ट करूंगा. वो एग्रीमेंट रिटन में कर लिया, लेकिन जब वो रजिस्टर्ड कराने जा रहे थे तो रास्ते में एक्सीडेंट हुआ, अनफॉर्चुनेटली मिस्टर ए की डेथ हो. क्या सिस्टर क्लेम कर सकती है वो हाउस? नो, बिकॉज इट इज ओनली रिटन बट नॉट रजिस्टर्ड. So this type of agreement should be written and registered. See the example. A husband by registered agreement promised to pay, registered agreement, promised to pay his earning to his wife, held the agreement though without consideration was valid. Now you can recall the Balfour versus Balfour. In that place, the agreement was not written and registered. If the agreement was written or registered, then wife can pay, right? Next is past consideration. I have discussed with you past consideration, the example of Anushka and me. Compensation for past services, but something important point for these past consideration. A promise to pay for the past voluntary services be binding, the following essential factors must exist. First, the service should have rendered voluntarily. It means at that time, in the month of August, I have given my service voluntarily. There was no pressure on me. The service has been rendered for the promiser. It means Anushka, who has made the promise to pay the fees, I have given the services to Anushka. If Anushka's father or mother promised to pay the fees, there is no relevance. The promiser must be in existence at the time when the services was rendered. जिस समय सर्विस दी गई हो उस समय जो प्रॉमिस कर रहा है वो दुनिया में होना चाहिए, उसी की सर्विस दी गई हो. The promiser must have intended to compensate the promise, and the compensation किसको मिलना हो? Promisee को. Now we will discuss one by one. First, the service should be rendered voluntarily. Is it clear? Services must have been rendered for the promiser only, the person who is making the promise to pay, make the payment, right? But third point, what says? The promiser must be in existence at the time service when service was rendered. How it is possible? You say, sir, how is possible? हम ये कह रहे हैं कि जिस समय सर्विस दी गई हो उस समय जो प्रॉमिस है, जो प्रॉमिस कर रहा है वो दुनिया में नहीं हो, तो दुनिया में लौट के आ गया? नहीं. Let's say, let's see the example. There was a nurse. Let's say name Mrs. R. There was a nurse, Mrs. R, and she has taken care of Mrs. B. who was the pregnant to take care the unborn child, take care her unborn child. So the nurse has given the services for unborn child. That is, and after that, the child comes in the world. The child when come in the world and decided to pay the fees to a nurse, the contract was not. Because at that time, the nurse has given her services, the promiser, the child was not in existence. Clear? नर्स ने एक लेडी की सेवा की जो प्रेग्नेंट थी. जब बच्चा दुनिया में आया उसे मालूम पड़ा नर्स ने बहुत सेवा की थी मेरी और मेरी मदर की, तो मेरे को दुनिया में लाने के लिए. एंड आफ्टर जब बच्चा मेजर हो गया उसने प्रॉमिस किया कि मैं आपको पेमेंट करूंगा. दिस एग्रीमेंट इज नॉट वैलिड. दिस विल नॉट बी कंसीडर्ड एज पास्ट कंसीडरेशन बिकॉज जिस वक्त नर्स ने सर्विस दी वो बच्चा दुनिया में था ही नहीं. एंड द promiser must have intended to compensate the promise. उसी को सेवा दे रहा है, उसी को पेमेंट कर रहा है जिसने वो सेवा दी. सीधा एग्जांपल, P finds R purse and give it to him. P finds R's purse and gives it to him. R promises to give P's rupees 100. This is a perfectly valid contract. This is a case of past consideration, right? P को R का पर्स मिला और उसने R को लौटा दिया. R ने बाद में कहा okay, I will give you 1000 rupees, but it 1000 rupees. In this case, this is the perfect agreement और P उस 1000 रुपए को R से क्लेम कर सकता है. One more example. Mr. X had helped his nephew, Mr. Y, to fight a case in the court of law using his knowledge and intellect. After Mr. Y won the case, he promised Mr. X to pay 10,000 as fees. Now this is the valid contract for the compensation of past services by the lawyer, right? By Mr. Clear? X ने अपने भतीजे Y की हेल्प की एक केस में. Y जब केस जीत गया तो उसने प्रॉमिस किया अपने मिस्टर X को कि मैं आपको 10,000 रुपए दूंगा. ये क्या हो गया? पास्ट कंसिडरेशन के लिए वैलिड, राइट? अब मिस्टर X Y से 10,000 रुपए क्लेम कर सकते. Promise to pay time bar debt. What is the time bar? We have discussed. Remember what is the time bar debt? Time bar debt which is completed 3 years. After 3 years, a debt is not paid becomes the time bar. Promise to pay time bar debt, where a promise in writing signed by the person in writing. Please mark this line. For payment of time bar debt should be in writing. Signed by the person making it or by his authorized agent is made to pay a debt barred by limitation. It is valid without consideration. See the example. I will explain you. A is indebted to C rupees 6,000, but debt is barred by limitation act. It means 3 years have been passed, but loan was not due. Now A signs a written promise to pay rupees 5,000 in final settlement. After the 3 years have been completed, the loan become time barred. After that, A has a promise, in written promise, to pay only 5,000. Now this is the consideration. This is the contract, even without consideration, is valid. But C can claim only 5,000, not the 6,000. A ने 6,000 का लोन लिया C से, वो टाइम बार्ड हो गया, 3 साल गुजर गए, अब C क्लेम नहीं कर सकता. लेकिन उसके बाद A ने एक रिटर्न प्रॉमिस किया कि भैया मैं 5,000 रुपए दे दूंगा आपको. तो ये प्रॉमिस परफेक्टली वैलिड है, क्योंकि जिस समय ये प्रॉमिस किया गया उस समय कोई कंसेशन नहीं मिला A को. बट इवन ये वैलिड है, रिटर्न में है. C कैन क्लेम ओनली रुपीज 5,000, जितने का उसने प्रॉमिस Clear? Agency. In case of agency, section 185 says no consideration is required. It means if you are appointing any person as your agent, and there was no terms and condition regarding the payment to agent cannot claim anything afterwards. Let's see, I have appointed Mr. X to do some accounting work for me, but I have not done any agreement or payment of any fees. Afterwards, Mr. X cannot claim, because the agreement of agency, even without consideration, is perfectly valid as per the exception of the section 25. But it is also mentioned in section 185 of the Indian Code. Completed gift. Completed gift means gift given and received, accepted. In case of completed gifts, the rule no consideration, no contract does not apply. अगर कोई किसी गिफ्ट दे रहा है, उसने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, तो ये गिफ्ट उसी का हो गया जिसने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया. वहां पर ये रूल एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा कि नो कंसिडरेशन, नो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. Mr. A has gifted a car to his friend on his marriage. Now Mr. A cannot take back his car even if there was no consideration. Charity, dan. If a promisee undertakes the liability on the promise of the person to contribute to charity, there is a contract shall be valid. See the example. Mr. A promised the secretary of committee of temple to donate 1 lakh rupees for renovation of that temple. एक टेम्पल था, उसमें कमेटी बनी हुई थी, तो मिस्टर ए ने प्रॉमिस किया कि भैया इसका मंदिर का जीर्णोद्धार करो, रिनोवेशन करो इसका, और मैं आपको 1 लाख रुपए दूंगा. On the faith of his promise, secretary has incurred some cost for renovation. Now secretary can claim from Mr. A even the contract was without consideration. So what is the example? Example is that Mr. A promised the committee to pay 1 lakh rupees, and on the basis of promise, the secretary has incurred some cost on renovation. Now secretary can claim. इन्हें promise किया secretary को, भैया मंदिर का सही कराओ, हम आपको 1 लाख रुपए देंगे. इस promise पर क्या हुआ? secretary ने पैसा खर्च कर दिया. अब secretary A से 1 लाख रुपए claim कर सकता है. Even A ने जो 1 लाख रुपए दिया, उसके बदले में उसे कोई consideration नहीं मिला. Right? So what point we have discussed? Once revised. First, natural love and affection. Second, past consideration. Third, time bar debt. Fourth, agency. Fifth, gift. And sixth, charity. And the last one is bailment. So what is the bailment? Bailment is actually defined in section 148 of Indian Contract Act 1872. What is the bailment? See. Listen my words. Bailment means to give something to someone. Bailment means to give something to someone with the purpose of that after the accomplishment of purpose, the goods will be returned back to the person who has originally given. Bailment is the agreement to give something to someone for a specific purpose or for a specific period, with the condition that after the accomplishment of purpose or after the expiry of period, the goods will be returned to the original owner. Bailment एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, एक एग्रीमेंट है, जिसके द्वारा कोई चीज एक इंसान दूसरे को देता है किसी पर्पस के लिए या कोई फिक्स टाइम के लिए, इस कंडीशन के साथ कि पर्पस पूरा होने पर या कंडीशन खत्म होने पर ये गुड्स वापस हो जाए. दिस टाइप ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मे बी विदाउट कंसिडरेशन, मे बी विद कंसिडरेशन. अगर विद कंसिडरेशन है तो कोई बात ही नहीं है, विदाउट कंसिडरेशन है तो यहाँ एक्सेप्शन का पार्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई हैव जस्ट गिवन द क्लॉथ टू अ टेलर for stitching. I am just giving the consideration that is not covered. But I have given my book to my friend for a study purpose. That is covered here. lending of books to a friend for his use without charge. Let's see. I have given my book to my friend for 3 months for his study. And now before 3 months, I cannot get back the book because the agreement is for 3 months. And agreement, even without consideration, but covered here is perfectly clear. मैंने अपने दोस्त को बुक दी पढ़ने के लिए 3 महीने के लिए, तो 3 महीने से पहले मैं बुक को डिमांड नहीं कर सकता. अगर मैं करता हूं और उसको नुकसान होता है फ्रेंड को, तो वो मुझे कॉम्पनसेट करना पड़ेगा. So time of super over 2. I'm just taking your queries, बच्चों. I think I have doctrine of privity, principle of privacy. Arshdeep, every contract goes in the court. If there is dispute, then it will be go to court. Sir, please explain in the certain marriage contract with example. I did not understand this point. Actually, this is specific point for Hindu undivided family. In case of Hindu undivided family, if there is partition in the family, the female person of the family can claim the expenses of her marriage from his father-in-law. Sir, in difference between section number is considered as point or note. I think your question is that if the question is of differences, let's say difference between void and voidable, so whether the section number can be the point, definitely yes. I think I have discussed the Balfour versus Balfour once again. Sir, will you also conduct mock test series? No, this is the part. This is the part of the ICI. ICI will definitely take the mock test. Okay. Gunjan, 3-year gap. I think you are talking with the time barred contract. Time barred agreement. It means if there is a 3 years have been passed, the loan becomes time barred. Sometimes you have seen that bank has given the loan for 20 or 25 years, a housing loan. In that case, before 3 years, the bank can get the signature of the person who has taken loan for the confirmation. Actually, like a screensaver. Let's say the screensaver of 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, the screen will be the screensaver will come on the screen. But if you just touch the mouse or mouse pad, again 3 minutes start. In the same way, the bank has given the loan for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. In those cases, the bank has get the confirmation signature from before the 3 years. So normally bank do it after 2.5 years. Bank says that we have 6 months, 2.5 years to 3 years to get the confirmation from the party who has taken the loan. Sahaj, please, I think I have given your answer, your query. I have solved your query. Arshdeep, sir, do every contract goes in the court? Beta, I have just discussed. If there is dispute and not settled, then the case will be in the court. One more question from your side. Sir, can you repeat it, doctor or privity? I did not understand. Doctor example, I think that was the example. Doctor cannot claim anything else additional. For let's say the fees of doctor is 1,000 rupees, and one person went to him for the treatment and doctor asked for additional 2000, but the treatment was normal. एक आदमी डॉक्टर के पास गया, डॉक्टर की फीस 1000 रुपए थी, डॉक्टर ने कहा मैं 2000 रुपए ज्यादा लूंगा पर ट्रीटमेंट नॉर्मली होगा. इन दैट केस डॉक्टर कैन नॉट क्लेम एडिशनल 2000. Covenant with running, I have discussed beta. Covenant with land, covenant running with the land, I have discussed the example of Rahul and Navneet. If Rahul sells the goods, sells the land with Navneet with some restriction, and those restrictions will be applicable for even future successors. Even those are not part of the contract. Mrs. Singh Rajiv Kumar, saying, sir, if A has a land on which he has loan and further A sells his land to B, is B liable to pay the loan which is on the land? Listen, if there is a loan on the land, what actually happens? Suppose Mr. A wants to take the loan on his land. The original papers of land will be in the possession of the bank. Bank means the person who giving the loan. So he cannot sell the land without the payment of a loan. So if B even purchasing the land from A, so B has to pay the loan. The loan will be transferred to the next owner. Consideration in one word. Something in return. What I get in return is called consideration. Sir, what is the maximum minimum period of time bond? Actually, beta, you have to read the Limitation Act. So in that act, there's different period for different contracts. Normally, for this purpose, our contract purpose, it is 3 years. So let's start super over. Okay, super over start करते हैं. Question number 1. A agreement without consideration is valid when made out of the love and affection due to near relationship, to pay time-bound debt, to compensate a person who has already done voluntarily, all of the above. Second point. Which of the following is not an exception to the rule? No consideration, no contract. Love and affection, compensation for cost voluntary services, contract of agency, none of the above. The question is which is not. Rahul is indebted to Sameer. He sells a trolley to Chaman. Chaman promises Rahul to pay all his debt to Sameer. If Chaman fails to pay, Sameer has no right to sue Chaman because Chaman is a stranger to contract, Chaman is a stranger to consideration, both of the above, none of the above. The general rule is that an agreement made without consideration is void, given in section 23, 24, 25, 26. An agreement is if consideration is furnished by a stranger, void, voidable, illegal, valid. Next, last question. A person who is not the party to contract but in whose favor some trust or charge under some specific property is created can sue, cannot sue, can sue without court permission, with court permission, can sue with permission of other parties. So Dharvi, I am trying to solve all the queries from your side, but I cannot share my personal number because of institute guidelines. So if any queries, please you can ask here only. So let's start the answers. Agreement without consideration is valid when all the above. Next. Which of the following is not an exception to the rule? Not an exception. क्वेश्चन है नॉट एन एक्सेप्शन. तो ये ए भी एक्सेप्शन है, बी भी एक्सेप्शन है, सी भी एक्सेप्शन है. तो आंसर क्या होगा बच्चे? डी. थर्ड, Rahul is indebted to Samir. He sells a trolley to Chaman. Chaman promises Rahul to pay all the debt to Samir. If Chaman fails to pay, Samir has no right to sue Chaman because Chaman is a stranger to contract. Next, the general rule that an agreement made without consideration is void given in section 25. Next, an stranger is, sorry, an agreement is if consideration is furnished by a stranger, valid. Next, a person who is not a party to the contract but in whose favor some trust or charge under specific property created can sue. So let's see the answers. The first person who has given all the correct answers is Miss Sahajpreet Kaur. Congratulations, beta. Next one is Miss Patel Kamlesh Bhai. Next one, Rohit Dantalwar. Next, Singh Rajiv Kumar. Varda Fatima. And Gunjan Devi. So I think most of you have given all the correct answers. One query is, sir, what is the difference between valid and legal? Please you understand what is legal and what is illegal. If anything is done which is prohibited by law, that is illegal. Okay. And Valid means something to be legal and the section 10 should be completed. If the legal but section something missing from section 10, it is not valid. Okay. Sir, explain how to write answer in exam. Definitely, I will discuss in 10th lecture, the full lecture for the presentation point. Okay. So this is from my side today's session. Hopefully, you all of you have enjoyed the session. Thank you so much. Thank you and God bless you, everyone. Thank you.